Emma thought coming back to her hometown would quiet her heart. But the moment she stepped off the bus and smelled the ocean air, memories rushed back faster than she could stop them. The town looked smaller than she remembered, but warmer, like it had been waiting for her. She had left years ago, chasing dreams in Seattle, chasing love that didn't last, and now she returned tired and unsure, hoping to begin again without reopening old wounds. But life had other plans. On her first morning back, she walked into the small cafe near the harbor, the same place she used to visit after school. The bell above the door rang, and she barely had time to look around before she heard a familiar voice say her name. She turned slowly, her heart beating hard, and there stood Noah Carter. He wasn't the boy she remembered anymore. He was taller, stronger, calmer, but his eyes were the same gentle blue that once made her feel safe. For a moment, neither of them spoke. It felt like time folded in on itself. Then he smiled, soft and surprised, and asked how she had been. They sat down with coffee and talked like no time had passed. Emma told him about the city, about work, about the breakup she didn't plan to share but somehow did. Noah listened without interrupting, just like he always had. He told her he stayed in town, helped his father's fishing business, and never really wanted to leave us. The honesty in his voice made her chest tight. She remembered late nights studying together, holding hands at football games, whispering dreams about the future. She had left him for a bigger life, thinking love would wait. Now, she wasn't sure it ever did. After that day, they kept running into each other, but Emma knew it wasn't by accident. Noah would walk past the house she was staying in and wave. He'd invite her to join him on evening walks along the shore. The sea breeze carried laughter and memories. Sometimes they spoke about the past, sometimes about nothing at all. With him, everything felt easy, like slipping into a favorite song you never forgot. Her heart began beating in a way she thought it no longer could. But just as her feelings for Noah returned, life placed someone new in her path. Emma started helping at the community center to keep busy. It's where she met Daniel Brooks. He was quiet at first, a little shy, with warm brown eyes and a calm voice that made people feel heard. He taught history at the local high school and spent his free time helping kids with homework. He wasn't loud or flashy, but there was something strong about his kindness. One afternoon, Emma struggled to organize donated books. Daniel stepped in without being asked and helped her stack them neatly. They laughed when the pile nearly fell over. That small moment turned into a long conversation. He asked about her move, her work, and what brought her back home. Unlike others, he didn't push for details. He simply listened. From that day on, they saw each other often. Sometimes they worked together. Sometimes they walked through the town after closing hours, talking about dreams, fears, and life's strange turns. Daniel shared how he moved to start fresh after losing someone he loved in a car accident years ago. His voice didn't shake, but his eyes told the story. Emma felt his pain and admired his strength. Being with Daniel felt different than being with Noah. With Noah, Emma felt like the girl she once was, full of memories, emotion, and warmth. With Daniel, she felt like the woman she was becoming, calm, hopeful, and understood. And that scared her. Days passed quickly. Emma began waking up thinking about which one she would see first. Some mornings, she'd meet Daniel at the community center. In the evenings, she'd walk with Noah along the beach. Her heart lived in two places, and it didn't know how to choose. She tried to tell herself it was just friendship. The way her chest tightened when Noah smiled told her it wasn't. The way her breath softened when Daniel spoke told her it wasn't either. One afternoon, she and Noah sat on the sand watching waves roll in. The sky burned orange as the sun dropped toward the horizon. Noah skipped a stone across the water, then turned toward her. "I never stopped caring about you," he said quietly. "Not when you left. Not now." Emma's throat tightened. She didn't answer because she couldn't lie. Before she could speak, her phone buzzed. It was a message from Daniel. "Had a great time today. I'm starting to fall for you." Her hands trembled. The world seemed to stop. She looked at Noah's hopeful face and down at the glowing screen in her palm. Two hearts pulling at her, two stories unfolding. She realized then that this wasn't a simple moment of confusion. It was something deeper, something dangerous. She wasn't just remembering love with Noah, she was building something real with Daniel. That night, she lay in bed listening to waves crash far away. Her mind replayed Noah's smile, Daniel's gentle voice, the warmth of both. Tears slid into her hair as she whispered into the dark, "How can I choose?" But another thought followed, one she was afraid to admit. What if she didn't want to choose? What if losing either of them felt worse than the pain of holding both feelings inside? The idea frightened her, but it also felt honest. Days later, Noah surprised her with a picnic by the lighthouse. They laughed like teenagers again, sharing stories and memories. He talked about dreams of traveling the coast together, about building a life close to the ocean, about how he always pictured her beside him. Emma smiled, but her heart shook. That same evening, Daniel walked her home after volunteering. He spoke about how meeting her made his days brighter, how her kindness gave him hope again, how he hadn't expected to feel this way but couldn't ignore it. Emma felt tears press behind her eyes. Both men were offering her something real, love from the past, love in the present. And she stood in the middle, unable to step toward either without hurting the other. As night fell, she stood alone on the porch, listening to crickets and distant waves, holding her phone in her hand. Messages from both waited unanswered. Her heart was full, breaking. For the first time, Emma understood how someone could love more than one person at once, not in a careless way, but in a deep, emotional way that tore you apart. She didn't want to lose Noah. She didn't want to lose Daniel. She didn't want to go back to being alone. And in that painful, honest moment, she admitted the truth she had been avoiding. She didn't want just one. She wanted both. But deep inside, she knew life would never let her keep everything. And that was the beginning of the hardest choice she would ever face. Emma thought she could carry both feelings quietly, but love is never something you can hide for long. The more days passed, the heavier her heart became. She smiled with Noah and laughed with Daniel. Yet inside she felt like she was standing in the middle of a storm. Every kind word from one made her feel guilty about the other. Every warm moment came with fear. She began living in pieces. Mornings were for Daniel. They met at the community center, shared coffee from the small machine in the corner, and talked about their plans for the day. Daniel always asked how she slept, always noticed when she looked tired. His care was steady and calm, like a soft light guiding her forward. Evenings were for Noah. They walked the beach, watched the sun melt into the sea, and talked about old times. Noah teased her like he used to. He remembered every small detail about her childhood. With him, her heart felt young and alive again. Emma told herself she was only buying time to understand her feelings. But deep down, she knew she was afraid to choose. The truth followed her everywhere. When Daniel smiled, she thought of Noah. When Noah laughed, she thought of Daniel. Love pulled her in two directions until she could barely breathe. One rainy afternoon, everything changed. Emma and Daniel were cleaning up the community center when thunder rolled outside. Rain hit the windows hard, turning the world gray. They sat down to rest, listening to the storm. Daniel looked at her quietly for a long moment. "Emma," he said gently, "can I ask you something?" Her heart started racing. "Of course. Is there someone else in your life?" Room felt too quiet. Emma opened her mouth, but no words came. Her hands twisted in her lap. The truth stood between them like a wall. Daniel's eyes softened, but they filled with pain. "I don't need a perfect answer," he said softly. "I just need honesty." Tears slid down Emma's cheeks. "Yes," she whispered. The word fell heavy. Daniel closed his eyes for a moment, breathing slowly, like he was trying to stay strong. "I thought so," he said. "I could feel your heart wasn't fully here." "I never meant to hurt you," Emma cried. "I know," he said gently, "but loving someone should feel safe, not confusing." His kindness hurt more than anger ever could. "I care about you deeply," he continued, "but I won't stand in the middle of someone else's story." The storm outside grew louder. Emma felt something breaking inside her. "I just needed time," she said weakly. "Time doesn't fix a split heart," Daniel replied softly. He stood, grabbed his jacket, and before leaving said, "You deserve happiness, Emma. I hope you find it." The door closed quietly behind him, and the room felt empty. That night, Emma sat alone staring at her phone. Her fingers shook as she typed a message to Noah asking if they could talk. He called instead. "Everything okay?" he asked. Voice cracked. "Noah, I need to be honest with you." There was a pause. "I've been seeing someone," she said. "I didn't plan it. It just happened." Silence filled the line. "How long?" he asked carefully. "Since I came back." Another pause. "Longer this time." "I thought we were finding our way back to each other," Noah said quietly. Emma closed her eyes as tears fell. "I care about you so much. I just got confused." So while we were walking on the beach, he said softly, "You were building something with someone else." "Yes." The word felt like a knife in her chest. Noah breathed out slowly. "That hurts, Emma, more than you know." "I never wanted to lie," she said. "I was afraid of losing you." "And now?" he asked. "I'm losing you anyway," she whispered. Neither spoke for a long time. Then Noah said, "I love you. But I won't be part of something that isn't." Honest, his voice wasn't angry. It was broken. "I need space." The call ended. Emma stared at the dark screen. In one day, both loves had started slipping away. The silence that followed was louder than any storm. Days passed slowly. Daniel didn't come to the center anymore. Noah stopped walking the beach. The town that once felt warm now felt cold. Emma walked alone through streets full of memories. Every corner reminded her of laughter, of talks, of moments she could never get back. She finally understood what she had done. By trying to hold on to both hearts, she had wounded them both. One evening, she sat by the ocean as waves crashed gently against the shore. The sky was purple and gray. She hugged her knees to her chest and cried. "I was scared to be alone," she whispered, "and now I am." But inside the pain was something new, clarity. She realized love isn't about grabbing everything that feels good. It's about choosing with courage. And sometimes choosing means letting go. Emma decided she couldn't leave things broken. She needed to face them both with honesty. The next morning, she went to Daniel's apartment. Her hands shook as she knocked. Daniel opened the door slowly, surprised. "I just wanted to say, I'm sorry," Emma said. "Not for loving you, but for not being brave enough to choose." Daniel studied her face. "She didn't mean to hurt me," he said quietly, "but pain still happened." "I understand," she whispered. "I hope one day you find someone who loves you without doubt," he said kindly. Tears filled her eyes. "Thank you for loving me gently." He nodded and closed the door softly. Her heart felt heavy, but something inside healed a little. That evening, she met Noah at the beach. The wind moved his hair like it used to. "I'm not here to ask you back," Emma said quickly. "I just want to tell you the truth." Noah listened. "I was afraid of losing you," she said. "But by hiding, I lost you anyway." He looked at the waves. "We loved each other once," he said quietly. "That will always matter. I'll always care about you," Emma said. "I know," he replied. "Sometimes love changes shape." They stood together in silence as the sun dipped into the water. Then Noah hugged her, not like before, but like goodbye. "Take care of yourself," he whispered. "You too." They walked away in opposite directions. Emma didn't look back. Weeks later, life slowly moved forward. Emma focused on herself, her work, her healing. Some nights were lonely. Some mornings were peaceful, and slowly the pain softened. She learned that loving to people wasn't wrong, but trying to keep both without honesty was. She learned that heartbreak teaches courage, and that sometimes the bravest thing is to walk away with love instead of regret. As she stood once again by the ocean, wind brushing her face, Emma smiled softly through tears. She had lost two loves, but she had found something stronger, peace, and a heart ready to love again, someday the right way.